Hello and welcome to today's content of Hrairyuu Halloween, since he has been announced for the reissue date for a week. And I'll talk more specifically about the unit in general and the unit being used mostly in PvP. I hope this helps you decide if you want to pull for him or not, just with the information I give out. For the name job takeaways for Hrairyuu, it is the Rune Knight job. So the most takeaways to think about, since there's not too many abilities, is mostly going to think about Drain Evocation, Hazard Slash, and his LB Creeping Terror. To start off, for Drain Evocation, it's a very long range, as you can see, 5 tiles. It does a little bit of damage. It can do a good amount of damage if they are very deathly weak to magic attack types. However, it usually isn't going to be a killing blow. It's nice that it can also heal you. It does increase your next attack with magic and the slash penetration. The slash penetration is going to be huge because his master ability has 20% already for slash resistance, so this adds up to it, so it's 60% slash resistance. It's going to be very hard to mitigate against. His hazard slash is going to be his primary very hard hitting move. As you can see, it's very short range, however it does do an immense amount of damage, and it is a slash magical type attack. Lastly is his Limit Break, Creeping Terror. It doesn't do as much damage as Hazard Slash, unfortunately. However, he does not have to use his HP, as well as it poisons with a decently good chance at the base percent chance of 67%, and it does good damage. It's there mostly for a status element, in my opinion. I believe Hazard Slash is going to be the hardest hitting ability rather than using the LB for damage. Moving on to the sub job takeaways, it's going to be first off the Black Mage sub-job, where the most key abilities to note is going to be Flare. Flare hits very hard. It's non-attributed as well. It is magic attack type, but it definitely hits very hard. Next is going to be Stonera, where it's going to be an AoE stone. It doesn't do too much damage, but it's AoE. It does have cast time as well. You just have to be be wary about that on the Black Mage sub-job abilities. Is all going to be cast times. Bio is also decently alright. Does a little bit of damage. Ironically, Hrairyuu can just LB for poison, and it's a much higher chance as well, and more damage, and it's AoE. So those are just a few abilities you can throw out and use. For the Rune Knight sub-job, we have the Earthbreak rune, which is basically an Earth Imperil. The only problem is it doesn't deal actual damage. It just does the debuff itself. So you have to consider that in auto AI will very high chance almost never use it, unless it's specifically set up to use it. Also, his hazard spell is kind of like hazard form, like such as like Stern uses for his, but hazard spell is going to be the Rune Knight's version of it, where it takes a little bit of HP but increases your magic by a large amount for 3 turns. It's something to consider if you're going for like one-shot builds or like just super high firepower. Most importantly, and what I would also recommend, is going to be the Paladin sub-job. The first #1 thing I have to keynote is going to be Immortal Spirit. Immortal Spirit gives you guts, or basically you ignore fatal damage for one time. It's going to be very good because it gives you basically a second life for free almost. Technically, it's very good. Taunting Blade is there if you want to tank with him. You could. I'm not going to say it's bad, or I'm not going to say it's good either. It's definitely an option there. He does not have very high physical damage, so Taunting Blade, if it's used, you'll probably have to turn off Drain Evocation, I believe. Sentinel is also very good because since Halloween Hrairyuu is kind of slow, he also takes takes his time to get places because he only has 3 move and 1 jump. Sentinel being used if he's going to get hit allows him to get a turn after, so it's going to be very useful for surviving. Let's move on to the resistances and the passives. For Halloween Hrairyuu, he has negative 15% strike, negative 10% wind, negative 5% slash. For piercing and missile, he does have a positive 5%, not bad, nothing amazing. He does have a 15% for magic attack resistance, which is nice to have. We move on to the resistances for his statuses. He has a 50% resistance to sleep, which is not really too useful currently. I believe there's only one other unit in the game that has a limit break for sleep, which is Summer Katone, which Global did not actually get. It's only in Japan currently, until maybe later, further notice, we'll see. 50% resistance to Steel Heart though is very nice, especially in live PvP, I would say. In auto PvP, not as much. It can be used, but it's not going to be as good. 10% Petrify resistance is not bad. I can only really think about one person that would use it on auto for Petrify would be Mustadio with his Seal Evil. Other than that, it's not anything like amazing. It's just there. Moving on to the master ability though. Like all units from now on, the mono element team buff is going to be there. The 10% HP, 15 for the element attack, which is going to be Earth for Hrairyuu, and for himself, he gets an innate / resistance penetration 20%. I'll probably make a video on explaining how these / penetrations and stuff work. Just think of it as whatever penetration resistance they have for like slash in this scenario, like it will reduce it by 20%. Moving on to the passives, we have the Earth Enhancing Rune, which increases Rairyuu's damage straight up by the 25 modifier. It's very nice to have. Its only problem is the -5% wind resistance. You would have to be very, very careful if the enemy team has any type of wind unit. He will take more damage. The magic up from the Black Mage passive is very nice to have to boost his magic, and Sharp Mind is something I would recommend putting on him almost always, because it gives you 40% spirit penetration as well as giving you 20 accuracy. So even like half-assed evasion builds, if they don't stack enough into evasion, the extra accuracy will help there. It is not a guarantee versus evasion compositions, I have to note, but it is useful. Like it's there. The niche and flex one, I would have to argue, is going to be the Holy Knight's Protection. I don't want to put nothing in the niche and flex, but the Holy Knight's Protection gives him more HP and defense, which both he can make work of, but you significantly reduce how much damage you can deal or your damage potential from the other passives. But if you're dead and you have no other options and you can't get revived, then dead DPS do no DPS. But it's there, niche and flex side. For reaction abilities, he has 3 different types. We have the Paladin's Guard, which reduces only physical damage at a 20% chance. There's the Magic Communication, where if he gets hit by magic attacks, he can increase his self AP. It's kind of like Orlando or Sid's AP refresh reaction ability. It increases your AP pretty much. And then what, in my opinion, I would recommend is going to be the Magic Counter, which is like going to be small 3 tile range. It's not bad, but it's nice to have. It can counter all types of damage at 20%, but he can shoot magic back at them at like a 121%. So it's not necessarily going to kill, unless, like I said earlier, they are very weak to magic attack types, but it will do damage enough where if they were already hit from chip damage, this can finish them off. I would look into it basically on what reactions you want. Paladin's Guard would definitely let you survive longer against physical damage, and Magic Communication, sorry, I can't say it at all. Magic Communication would be good in long sustained fights where you need more AP, because Rairyuu does not gain as much as mages, but he definitely gains a good amount, kind of like red mages. So here we go to Rairyuu ratings out of 10. So for pre-EX, pre-FF10 pretty much, I will give him a 9 out of 10. The reason why is that he's able to deal 2 types of damage typings, which is going to be magic attack types and slash attack types. Not only that, he has very strong hitting abilities, and his magic stat is very nice. You do not have to push him too hard to get a very high magic stat, so it's nice to have that. He does have spirit penetration and slash resistance penetration on his master ability and passive, so this definitely makes him very hard to mitigate against. He will almost always consistently do some type of damage. He is hard to fully tank against, pretty much. Immortal Spirit makes for a very, very good advantage in a fight. Not only does Rairyuu have a lot of HP, if you cannot proc his Immortal Spirit the first time around in a fight and he gets the turn next, not only does he have a chance to kill you, you have to spend another turn hitting him, so the Immortal Spirit has to basically proc before he can die. If you have like Sakura with the Rebel Intention, it could bypass that, but that's specific, like it's unit specific, and she has to cast that as well. He also has a base of 6 defense, and as we said before, with the flex or niche passive for the Holy Knight, he can get up to 18 defense. Other than that, he does have a base of 6 defense, so it's something to work off of if he wants to go against physical compositions. His master ability and Drain Evocation like does allow for a lot more slash resist penetration. It's kind of like what I said earlier about the spirit and slash res penetration, but drain evocation does increase it further by 40%, and since those add together, it'd be a minimum of 60% slash resistance on his first big hit if he used drain evocation. So it's important to note that. Now, to talk about his post EX after like Final Fantasy X happens, the first anniversary happens, and people get EX, before he gets his own EX, I put him specifically around a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. It's not that he's a bad unit, it's just that he gets a little bit outpaced by the newer units and what he can provide for the against the new units. So first off, he has no agility passives to really help him push past his current agility, which is at 58 base. It's not bad, but it definitely can be improved. It's more closer to like slower units like Dwayne or like Warrior of Light. They're around the 56-58 agility area, so he is a little bit slow. He also does not have any 100% hit rate abilities, so once we have more evasion comps coming in, if he doesn't use his accuracy passive, he's going to have a hard time hitting them anyways, so it's something to note. He also has very short range on his abilities that do high damage. Drain evocation does have 5 tiles range, however, like I said earlier, he does not have high killing pressure with that. He has to use that and then get close again for a big slash, like hazard slash. He's going to be very weak to wind units that are relevant, like Halloween Leela, and in the future, once the Nier collaboration comes to us with EX, it's going to be 2B. And since 2B not only has slash, pierce, and striking attack types, Halloween Hrairyuu is going to get dumpstered by her, and she's also a high evasion. So it's something to note. If you do pull for Halloween Hrairyuu now and use him, just be wary. Once the Nier collaboration happens, you have to avoid 2B pretty much. Halloween Hrairyuu does not have any barriers, so his only real fallback is going to be like Sentinel, and Immortal Spirit is going to be his only real defensive options. It's something to think about. You could put barriers on him with like a TMR, but without like equipment and stuff, he does not have that option. He only has pretty much Immortal Spirit and Sentinel. He's very weak to strike attacks, which more and more units also come out with the first anniversary and EX. Is going to be like Auron, Ruel, and Venera Winter. We have Venera Winter out right now. Auron comes out with the Final Fantasy X collaboration, and Ruel is a character that came out recently in Japan, where she's a magic strike attack type caster, I believe. Yes. So he would be very susceptible to those units because of the strike. You could always boost your strike resistance. It's a little bit hard because you have to go out of your way in both vision cards and espers if you want to get that, but it is an option. Now lastly, the key point here is going to be the TMR chase rating. I only recommend this mostly to whales or people who are TMR chasing specifically. Halloween Hrairyuu's TMR, I would say, is arguably one of the best in the game, so I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Obviously Ziza bells are 10 out of 10. They are used and can be used anywhere and everywhere. Halloween Hrairyuu's TMR, I would argue, is 99% chance used in PvP more than PvE. However, you can use it in PvE if you have strats for it. However, it does not generate like a large amount of AP or anything. So yeah, there's like holes in the TMR. But the reason why I say it's really good is because it gives you a re-raise. Basically, if you had this TMR on Halloween Hrairyuu and then he uses Immortal Spirit, you'd have to not only proc the Immortal Spirit and then down him, he will come up again with a little bit more HP because of the TMR usage, and then you have to kill him again. So it essentially takes 3 turns. But that's specifically for Halloween Hrairyuu. You can put the mask on other units as well that can use the auto revive. Maybe you don't want them dying in one hit, but if they somehow get chip damage, you have a second chance. Ironically, this can also work with the ability itself doesn't work with it, but it can combine. It could combo with the Yuna. Once Yuna comes out, she can cast a re-raise. So if Yuna casts re-raise on herself, and then a different unit in the same team used a zombie mask, the zombie transformation on themselves, that's 2 re-raise units you have to get rid of. So it's something to think about. I do believe re-raise is very strong. It's it's a very good TMR. If you're going to think about pulling Halloween Rairyuu for his TMR, I would say 100% go for it. However, if you're like more a minnow or free to play, or maybe like just a brand new dolphin and you just kind of need units and don't need a TMR, I would say I would pass on this one for now until maybe his rerun where you're more better prepared for TMR chasing instead. Here we are at the last slide for fighting as or against Halloween Rairyuu compositions. So if you pulled Halloween Rairyuu and you want to use him effectively, Halloween Rairyuu is deceptively beefy, and due to his base defense and moral spirit, he can frontline for you for a little bit at least. Especially if he has a healer, it's very nice to have, or if you boost his speed with like a haste or a CT up ability, it could definitely help him get in there quickly. With his mono earth team master ability, you could pair him with other earth units to capitalize on the damage and the health gain, such as like Venera Winter, Kilfi, even Katone. Funny, if you want to like make a fun build, you could probably do Venera Winter, Halloween Rairyuu, and Katone, and just stack Katone with as much health as you can and just do a Drain Force build, but that'd probably be more for like funny laughs and giggles. Since Halloween Rairyuu does have very short range but high firepower, try to make sure each hit counts or speed him up, like as I said earlier, such as like haste, quicken, CT up definitely will help push Halloween Rairyuu to where he needs to be to easily take out enemies, because he just needs to be in range to start bursting out high damage. Halloween Rairyuu also primarily has AoE attacks that hit very hard. All his AoE attacks are above, I believe, the 165% threshold for his main job. And his single target attacks are more on the weaker side. They're gonna be like Drain Evocation, it's single target, what was it, like 86% damage, I believe. Basically, his AoE hits very hard. Make sure you're hitting enemies that do not have too much AoE resistance. And now we move on to fighting against Halloween Rairyuu. Halloween Rairyuu is definitely weak to strike and slash damage. Not too much on slash since it's only -5. It is negative, however, he can mitigate against it. If enemy also has defense penetration, you have to watch out for that since he does have a base 6 defense. He can stack it up if he wants to. Just be wary of that if they do have a defense stacked Halloween Rairyuu. Wind units do very well against Halloween Rairyuu, and he has a hard time mitigating against them outside of magic. For magic, since he has a base 15% chance, he could definitely stack up magic resistance and be fine against Halloween Leela. However, every other wind unit can hit his weak spots pretty significantly, such as like Howlet on his negative slash, or Lucia with only his 5% missile resistance. Ironically, Lucia also has the monk sub job. If she got into range and surge striked him, he is probably dead. I believe there's no chance of him surviving outside of the Immortal Spirit procky. Anyways, moving on. Halloween Rairyuu has no 100% hits ability. Even though he does have an accuracy passive, that means evasion still works against him if he is not built with additional accuracy. You also have to be wary of the Drain Evocation if you fight against Halloween Rairyuu, because if he does use a Drain Evocation, his slash resistance penetration goes up, so his next slashing magical attack, such as like Hazard Slash, will have extremely high damage effects. You will probably get one shot even if you do not have any mitigation against it, such as like a barrier or shell, stuff like that. Slash resistance will not play too heavy of a part if the Drain Evocation goes off first. Since Halloween Rairyuu is a high faith user, he's going to be susceptible to statuses such as like disable and stop. Since he does not have any of those resistances and has to gain it by either equipment or like a vision card or an Esper, using users like Agrius can take advantage of that and spam status effects on him, so just be wary of that. Lastly, I will have like 2 just quick example builds of him below in the description box, so check that out if you want to see. And now I'll talk about fighting as Rairyuu and what units you might want to like bring along or something. So obviously the earth units would be Venera Winter, Kilfi, Katone. I specifically put Gilgamesh there only because Gilgamesh with Kotetsu would significantly make Halloween Rairyuu's slash penetration. It basically does not really exist unless the enemy went above 38% slash resistance. But having that slash resistance in peril from Gilgamesh or like Winter Ramada means that Halloween Rairyuu does not need any setup from Drain Evocation or anything. He can just Hazard / Raw and probably kill the unit very easily. It's something to think about because you usually don't want to stack resist penetration and an imperil together because they kind of cancel each other out depending on the situation. Not cancel, but like make the other one more useless. But yeah, it's something to consider. As I said before, if you can get Halloween Rairyuu up in like the action quickly, haste and heals from Ayaka is definitely useful. Ildria's her algorithm limit break can definitely give Halloween Rairyuu another turn very quickly, and she can also keep him alive by healing him if he's tanky. That's something to consider. Now, if you're fighting against Halloween Rairyuu, here are a few 6 first units I could think of. Sakura, only because of the Rebel Intention. Not only if Halloween Rairyuu hits Sakura, Sakura has an extremely high chance of instantly dying from Halloween Rairyuu, but she can also instantly kill him if he does not mitigate enough damage from her with the Rebel Intention. Rebel Intention, because it also penetrates Immortal Spirit, is why I put her on the list. Glaciella I put here specifically because she has slash resistance. Even if Halloween Rairyuu has /res penetration, she does have slash resistance, and she has access to the monk sub-job. She can deal significant damage to him because of the strike. Halloween Leela is a wind type. If he does not get a lot of magic resistance, she can deal a lot of damage to him. Lucy and Howlet and who's it, Oldoa, I would say arguably they will do significant damage to Halloween Rairyuu, maybe even one-shot him in many circumstances or proc his Immortal Spirit. So be wary when you're fighting those types of enemies, or if you're trying to fight against them, you should bring those units to fight against them to easily take them out. And we arrived to the end of the video. As always, if you liked my unit analysis video, please leave a like and or subscribe. And until the next video, I hope you make a decision based on if you want to pull him or not for his TMR or for the unit itself. Just keep in mind we do have El Sorel, Garvel, and then the first anniversary and the EX for War of the Visions coming out. So just keep in mind if you want to pull or not. I hope you make the right decision. And so until the next video, peace out.